All right. So Elizabeth Bathory maybe had a love child or not love child, a child that she maybe just kind of got knocked up with, who knows by whom, at the age of 13. But knowing what we know about her and about the nobility of that era, that maybe this baby was the result of a non-consensual relationship. And I hate that for her. That's not okay. That is just not okay that that happened. Don't know if that happened or not, but she is rumored to have had a child at the age of 13, which she was then also forced to give up to just some other person to go and raise as part of let's just let's just kind of hush this up. Regardless, within a couple of years, she was just formally married on up. She was just married on up to this guy. And the guy that she was married to had estates, he had money. He basically gave her a castle as like a kind of a wedding present. I mean, that's kind of cool. You know, some people you hope for a KitchenAid, right? She got a castle. Okay. That's neat. That's cool. Well, I don't think she was happy in it. I just don't believe that she was entirely happy in her castle that she'd been given, because what, there's no such thing as a free lunch, right? Whatever the case may be, she did end up living in this castle with her husband, and they had they had 5 children. She had at least 5 children, possibly 6. 5 on the books, maybe 1 that had been a non-consensual situation that she had when she was 13. So we're not dealing with someone maybe who's operating from the healthiest place. She's not really coming from the best place. And again, these are problems. It's not great. I don't love that for her at all. But be that as it may, there are a lot of individuals out there with a lot of stories that are not wonderful. And they don't all just automatically, oh, let me go become a serial unaliver like she did, which is what she did do. Okay, let's step back a couple minutes in history. Elizabeth Bathory, baby possibly at 13, married for sure, starting to have babies by 15. Well, in my research prior to doing this particular video, it's rumored that she had maybe had epilepsy. Now, epilepsy, we know it, we understand it now, we treat it, it's unfortunate, so difficult. My heart goes out to individuals who are afflicted with this. But back then, it was just this mysterious thing. And one, Caesar, of the Caesar and Cleopatra infamy. Caesar is rumored to have had, not rumored, it's almost like a story, it's pretty a historical fact now that he indeed did have epilepsy. And it was hidden. It was seen as this like big flaw. There were all types throughout history. We've had all types of ways of treating it. Drop my towel. Some better than others in treating it. And then there's the good, there's the bad, and there's like, dude, that's bonkers. That's really whack. That's crazy. So I think that what happened with Elizabeth Bathory is that she wasn't given like the good, the bad, this is bonkers. It was just like a combo, just a a whole bunch of stuff. Let's just treat her with a whole bunch of different things. Let's throw it all against the wall and let's see what sticks. What sticks usually when you operate like that is end up, you create a bucket of nuts by default because this individual is so traumatized. In fact, they theorize that Jack the Ripper, not that he had epilepsy, but he had other childhood ailments that were more of like physical deformities, often, unaliving someone with a force of something sharp and pointy. Okay, that typically, when it is done by a male, this is very Freudian, but they assume or presume that it is the result of impotence, meaning that there was not a Viagra in the era, so he was just angry, frustrated, could not penetrate another individual, be it male or female, so was reacting in that way, taking it out in that way. But because so many methods of treating it as a child didn't work, that he ended up becoming what Jack the Ripper was, as we know and love him to be, this like terrible, terrible individual who did all of these atrocities. So we can only imagine that a similar type of psychology, I think I'm allergic to makeup, that a similar type of psychology might follow with Elizabeth Bathory, if she indeed did have epilepsy as a child. This would have been very mysterious. She would have been seen not as, well, let's just help her medically. It would have been seen as that she was afflicted with this illness. So her being afflicted, there's, old wives' tales, there's folk treatments, things like this. Some of them were good. We haven't always gotten things wrong. For example, there's modern day pain relievers that come from willow bark, which is a tree. We known about this for quite a while. And we have a modern, you go to the grocery store right now, you take a pill, and its origins are in a natural folklore or old wives' tale or home remedy, homeopath. So not everything was wrong, but a lot of it was not just wrong, it was so absolutely insane. And one of the treatments for epilepsy during the era of Elizabeth Bathory was applying the life essence blood from someone who was not afflicted to the lips of someone who was afflicted, hoping that somehow there would be some cure through osmosis type of a situation that would happen and that they would be okay. All right, cool. I don't know how that was going to be a thing, but let's do it. Let's just do it. Okay, neat. So they did. They ended up treating Elizabeth Bathory. This is one of the rumors, that as a child they were putting blood on her face or in her mouth. So you can kind of see how there might be a connection mentally to someone who had maybe been abused, misunderstood, exploited, married at 15 for political purpose. She had to have a whole bunch of babies, that she could make this connection, this kind of reach back between what happened in her later life and, well, she's feeling older, she's looking older. Now we get some Botox, we get some filler, but she couldn't get that. She didn't have that option. So Elizabeth Bathory is like, well, what am I going to do? Oh, I remember when I was little, they would restore my vitality by putting the life force in somebody else in my mouth. Okay. That's one rumor. Another rumor is that she was being served by one of her chambermaids, and she smacked her, made a cut the blood got into like on her skin, and she's like, ooh, that looks nice. That looks tightened. That looks, oh, okay. I like how that went. Maybe I'm onto something. Maybe I should call Revlon. Aha. Who knows? We'll never know exactly what went down between when this little girl born in Eastern Europe, when she was born and when she decided, you know what? I just got to start killing people. And by people, it is estimated that she offed, and again, primarily females, but that's not certain that it was only females, but it makes sense with her MO that it was pure, aka virginal females between and by 300 to 650, those are the numbers, that there were between 300 and 650 individuals that had crossed her path, that after having crossed her path never crossed another path again. So we'll just kind of have to suppose that somehow, somewhere, Miss Crazy Pants made this connection. Okay, so by putting the life force of other people in or on my person, my vitality is restored or assured or continued. Regardless, she wasn't doing this to keep her husband happy. She did not like her husband. There are rumors that one of her first victims was her husband. She had 5 kids. She did her deed, did her job. Didn't like the guy, and that makes absolute sense. That he maybe wasn't so great to her. He's this established gentleman. He needed a wife of childbearing age. This guy with a castle gets a 15-year-old bride, and then she has 5 kids with him. That's not ideal. So I don't think that she probably would have had the best relationship, or maybe been, treated very, very well by him. He gets injured, gets like a big laceration, some like on a leg, or I think maybe it actually might have been his abdomen, something like that. It's not clear because there weren't a lot of like historical records. Now we have HIPAA that keeps things from getting out about your medical history. Not only was there like no HIPAA then, but there was just no medical history, really. There just it wasn't written down. So we don't know exactly what happened to him, but regardless, he was injured egregiously. But maybe he could have pulled through. But his wife, Miss Liz, good old Liz, I'm gonna take care of him. I love him. I'm gonna take care of him by his side. It is rumored that she, and I hate to be indelicate, but it is rumored that she ushered his demise maybe sooner rather than later, by treating his wounds not with Neosporin. She didn't use Neosporin. That in fact she might have even used some type of a manure situation in order to further infect the wound. And certainly that, I don't care what century you're in, that couldn't have been good. That didn't help. That did not help him on his path to wellness. There was no wellness coming out on the other side of that. There was only agonizing demise, which he was subject to at the end. I don't know exactly how long that lasted. I hope for him, well, if he was mean to her, then I hope it was long enough. But if he wasn't, and he was just, a product of his environment, like a lot of individuals were then maybe it was just long enough. But either way, yada, 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 long story long, he wasn't long for it once she, rumor has it, stepped in and started treating him herself. He didn't last. He expired rather quickly at that point. So we can only assume that she helped him not get well. Knowing what we know about her now, that kind of makes sense. That she wouldn't just, off like one guy, but that she would also make sure that between 3 and 650 people didn't do well. We know that about her. Okay. So she was just having her way with the local females of the village, just inviting them up. Hey, you want a job? Come work at my castle. And she had money. So they're not like, there wasn't a lot of questioning. There was like, people would probably have been encouraging their children, their daughters. Oh my gosh. Not only do you gain the sophistication of being a lady's maid and the insight that comes with that, those marketable qualities, but you actually, you're getting fed, because we're in Eastern Europe, it's cold. We might have a real hard time actually feeding our families at this point in time. So they're getting fed, they're gaining some skills that would be very, very marketable for that individual, the young lady, as well as the family as a whole. If that lady, that young girl, is able to do well in that household, she might actually come across like a little bit of money. She could be helping her family. So a position like that, as a member of the household of the nobility, the aristocracy, that's boom, that's where it's at. So they would probably have encouraged their daughters to go and work for Elizabeth, because you're like, well, why would, if there are rumors, why would you send your child to go work there? And I had the same questions, and then I'm like looking up, well, what was actually kind of going down economically? And things weren't so great. It's winter, it gets real cold. We're not having a great time. So your daughter getting this opportunity, okay, cool. You kind of jump on that. Go off to the castle. Go work for Elizabeth. I'm sure that the stories aren't true. I'm sure that that's not what's actually happening. That's just people whose daughters didn't get hired, and they're being haters. They're flinging shade. Okay, cool. So your daughter goes and works, and again, like I said before about communication, it makes sense that you might not have a lot of communication. I mean, there was not like a postal service. Members of nobility were writing to each other. Members of the villages, they don't even know how to read, let alone write commonly. So them communicating, that was even more difficult and way less common than it was among the nobility. I mean, it was just almost impossible. You hope for the best. You hope that they're earning money, whatever. Maybe if she does well, and Elizabeth knows that she has, that my one daughter is skilled as a lady's maid, heck, maybe her sister can go and work there too. So if you think about things from that perspective, okay, I get it. I get why they might have done that. Drinking a nice little Pellegrino sparkling water, it's nice. So they're sending unknowingly, these individuals are sending their poor children, their young ladies, into just the lion's den. They're just sending them in, and I'll spare you, but the list of things that she's noted to have done. I mean, how do you burn through 300 to 650 people by your own hand in your household? Her predecessor, possibly distant cousin Vlad the Impaler, he did it on a mass scale with an army, and he did it systematically with wood spikes, and through an invasion, there was war happening, all of this kind of stuff. She wasn't doing all of that. But here's the thing, she had helped usher her husband into his early demise. Remember that? He was so that meant that if you were a gal who had a lot of chutzpah, You're out there. You're like, nah, I can run this. I can run the show. And you kind of shut down the opposition, and you have the children. So they weren't of age yet, so she's in charge. She's in charge, which meant she's controlling the finances. She is the one that all of the local farmers and all of these people, everybody is dependent upon for their livelihood. So do you kind of get where I'm going with this? That you're not going to bite the hand that feeds you, even if there are rumors. And over time, rumors began to really kind of circulate. Hey, there's something going on up at the castle. People are going in, they're not coming out. And some girls making it out. They're very terrified. But who are you gonna, who are you gonna tell? Um, you might say, oh, the magistrate. You might tell the local government. Now, Elizabeth Bathory, her brother. Remember I said she was part of nobility? She was connected. Let me see who it was in my notes. Her brother was a judge royal or judge royal of Hungary. And she was a direct relative of the King of Poland. Okay, see where I'm going with this? That, all right, so you're just a simple farm person. You sent your daughter there. She's not coming back, but that's not unusual. You didn't really have like off days. So we're not like hearing from her. None of that's really kind of out of step. But even if you did want to complain, even if you're like, hey, there's something going on, something's not right, something is rotten in the state of Denmark, then who are you going to complain to? I mean, the gal's brother, he was here come the judge. He was the judge. So how are you going to complain about that? It's just going to keep going and going and going. And it went on until finally she's just like killing everybody. All these young ladies who come within her scope. All these young ladies. Oh, I did not take my Zyrtec. Oh my goodness. Whew. Whatever. That's just part of it. I don't know if anybody else has that problem. It's super fun. But, and that's also why when I did a lot of eye makeup, I went ahead and I'm going to do my face last. So you can't really go and tell anybody. You can't say, hey, Mr. Judge, I'm suspicious. There's some stuff that's happening. You can't say that. It's not, nobody cares. Because the judge is her brother, man. He does not, in fact, not only are your arguments or your concerns not going to be entertained, but you're actually probably going to go ahead and be maybe possibly arrested. Maybe things very, very bad are going to happen to you by having made these waves. So that's something to consider also. So probably it's not a safe space. There was no open door policy to come forward. So this just kept happening for decades. She's just going through housemaids, just doing all kinds of stuff. And it's ironic that her name is Elizabeth Bathory. I was like, maybe they gave that to her, kind of like as some type of like a nickname or something. But no, her name coincidentally happened to be Bathory, even though it is rumored that she would take the vital essence, aka the life force, the blood of these ladies, and that she would actually like just take a bath. So what? So if you're just because your name is Bathory doesn't mean you have to take a bath in their stuff. What is that about? Anyway, she did it. Me, who knows? But she did. There's nothing you can do about that. I'm now doing my makeup, my face makeup. Anyway, so it's not a safe space. Nobody can really kind of come forward. Everybody kind of at that point kind of seems to know after so many years. something's up. There's some stuff going on. There's something wrong. Something's rotten. Something's happened. And it really wasn't until and I'm not sure about this. It's not exactly known how she was finally busted. But one of the biggest theories is that she had a cousin, a distant relative, maybe some type of a niece, something like that, who was coming to visit, like a distant relative. It wasn't expected because remember, you couldn't really say, hey, I'm going to be there on Tuesday. But it was common to go. You would travel and you would just kind of show up, and then you were expected to be hosted by whatever family member that you were part of, or that whose family you were part of, that you would just kind of like show up and you would stay for a little while. So that was common. That wasn't unusual. So she showed up, this young lady showed up, and it was expected that she would be there for a little while, that she would begin to send letters to her relatives, who would also be Elizabeth Bathory's relatives. Well, those letters they never ended up arriving. And after a time, other distant family members were like, what's going on? So they finally sent people in to go and check on her and see what happened. And it turned out that what had happened was that she had disappeared. Everything really starts coming out at that point. That, yeah, this is a problem. This is a problem. She has been unaliving people for a few minutes. We need to do something. We have to step in. So it was only at that point when things became so bad that she accidentally made a whoopsie and she offed a family member, that it was brought before the magistrate in a way that we can't cover. We can't hide this. We can't hide this. Here we go. That we can't hide it. There's nothing we can do. Yeah, she did do that. She did do that. So we have to step in somehow. Justice has to be served to some degree here. And then they had no choice. So they stepped in. So it got to a certain point. All right, we have to step in. There's no way to hide this. Our cousin's crazy. Cuz crazy. But even then, we can't condemn a member of the aristocracy. Keep that in mind. If we condemn a member of the aristocracy, then that means that we're all subject and basically eligible for repercussions, just like the common folk. That's not cool. We're not common folk. We're royalty. So what are you going to do? So what they did do was, okay, they seized her power. They said, you're nuts. You're nutso. She wasn't beheaded. She wasn't put to execution or anything. There was no formal like prison other than her house. And we're assuming that most of these places had some type of like a dungeon situation. I don't think that she was put in a dungeon. I hope that she was walled up. The rumors are that, again, she was walled up inside of her home until her death in 1614 at the age of 54, after having for decades just run through like 600 people of her township, her subjects, that she was responsible for their livelihood. And she didn't do a good job with their livelihood because she killed them all. So that didn't really go so well. But I wanted to share with you guys that history, that we all love vampires. We all know them. That's part of not just history in general, but American history. The first Dracula, you know, America. We absolutely love Halloween. We love all of that. But when I come across these little nuggets of these historical, wait, that's based on a real person or something like that actually happened, I find that, whoa, not just is it interesting, but there's actually kind of like a lesson to be learned there. And a lot of individuals I don't think really know a lot about Countess Elizabeth Bathory. There was a movie there have been a few movies about her, and I think there's a series, but there was a movie about her played, oh my goodness, she was the same actress from Killing Zoe. There's a movie called Killing Zoe, which I think was in the 90s. She did a really great job with it. The lipstick that I'm using, I'm going for like a more dark goth kind of look today, by the way. I'm doing my CoverGirl Outlast as I always do, and I'm using an outliner of 155, and then I'm going to fill it in with 840. So these are kind of like dark goth colors here. And they do take a moment to dry, but then they'll stay on like all day, and then some. Only use the lip liner, or excuse me, the gloss that comes with them, which is, it's by CoverGirl. It comes with them. This stuff will last. You'll love it. I've used this stuff for decades. Almost as long as Elizabeth Bathory was using her chambermaids as her beauty secret. I'll be here all week again. Okay. Anyway, that's my little history lesson about an unknown, very real serial unaliver slash, because of her relationship with life essences, I think that qualifies as a vampire. An actual one. Or as close as we can actually get. Because those Twilight, those shiny guys, not so much. But Elizabeth Bathory, and maybe her family relative, real guy, I don't know if they were actually related. I kind of like to think that maybe they were. That they really were, they were real. They walked around, they occupied time and space just like we do. Also, I think I like that. It's a dark goth kind of a glam look. Okay. I don't do that as often because it's a lot. But when I do, I do. It's fine. Make sure I don't have anything on my teeth. Okay, very good. Very good. I did a little mascara on the eyelashes. This is called Four Eyes Major Volume Mascara by Patrick Ta, or TA, Patrick TA. And I'm not sure. They don't come with like a how to pronounce your makeup brand guide. Maybe I should come up with that. But because we're getting into the holiday season, by that again I mean Halloween, but that only appropriate to do an entire glam goth look for you. I'm going to set this with Laura Mercier Translucent Pure Setting Spray 16-hour. My lipstick is still drying. It takes about 3 minutes. Once it dries, though, it will stay on. Then you just use your the lip gloss that comes with it. It is clear. This is the only one that if you use this with the CoverGirl Outlast, it will stay. If you use something else, it will basically act as a makeup remover and we'll take it off. But there we go. Dark, goth, glam look. All dressed up with no castle. I don't have any chambermaids to unalive. What am I going to do? I don't know. I guess I'll make dinner. whatever. All good. Sometimes it's just doing makeup for the sheer sake of doing makeup. I kind of got out of the practice and I love doing it. So with that, I think I'm ready to put my gloss on. We'll do a final adieu. Okay. And as Elvira says, unpleasant dreams. Thank you for watching, Andrea in Orlando. Always my pleasure and great seeing you. Mwah.